Our feature story is brought to you by St. Catherine Academy and the Sisters of Mercy. Job vacancy. St. Catherine Academy, a Catholic all-girls high school sponsored by the Sisters of Mercy, is seeking qualified and dedicated professionals to join its dynamic team of educators. Opportunity for employment exists in the following area: a permanent, full-time religion teacher. The successful applicants will be familiar with and committed to the mission of St. Catherine Academy and the values of Mercy Secondary Education. Responsibilities include teaching, homeroom duties, participation in school activities, and extracurricular service to the school. For teaching posts, candidates with a bachelor's degree and teaching experience are especially encouraged to apply. The candidate's lifestyle must be consistent with gospel values and Catholic teaching. They must possess a valid teacher's license or be prepared to obtain one. Remuneration is in accordance with the Government of Belize pay scale. The deadline for applications is August 20th, 2021. Please send application letter along with copies of relevant transcripts, 2 letters of references, and valid teaching license along with other supporting documents to the principal of St. Catherine Academy on 6 Hudson Street, Belize City, or email administration@sca.edu.bz.
Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've run the race, you've been rewarded. Enter the joy of your master.
We come from a very, very small town, Fremont, Texas. It's in South Texas. It's a very small town. Everybody knows everybody. I mean, there's less than 2,500 people in the town. So our school, it was very small. Our class, our class was pretty small. So everybody knew everybody. I think it was probably around 3rd or 4th grade that we really became, friends, and I think it had to do with being involved in CCD, going to religious education, being in those same classes, aside from school. You had all your friends in school, and then you had your, I guess your church friends, right? And that's when, we became very close and started, having a lot of the same, mutual friends. just going to church. We were confirmed in the 6th grade. So she was, along with, probably about 10 of us, continue to go to religious education. As we got older, got into high school, we didn't have a youth group at the time, and the way religious education was in our parish was not as dynamic, not as interactive. So we petitioned to our pastor to let us start a youth group, let us have youth ministry versus just straight catechism. And he was all for it. He one of the adults in the parish really took control of that, and really led us put that youth group together. And so we were the founding members of our youth ministry program here in our parish. I remember just even in high school, we also started a choir, a youth choir, again back when we didn't have youth ministry, so there weren't any of these aspects in the church at the time. So she was one that, hey, well, let's be in charge of music for one of the masses. And then so that mass ended up turning into the youth mass, and that we still hold to this day. And we're talking about early 2000s that all this was happening. And so again, her legacy is still living on today. We graduated from high school, and at that time our class, our group of students was only 5 of us out of maybe 70 that had originally started before. Only 5 of us remained strong and faithful to the church, that really devoted. And again, she was spearheading a lot of that. When we graduated from high school, Sister Maria went on to Coastal Bend College to pursue a career as a nurse, as a licensed vocational nurse. In one of our English classes, we had to write a paper on a celebrity, and while everybody was choosing movie stars and music artists, she actually chose Mother Teresa. And everybody was like, why are you choosing Mother Teresa? It's supposed to be a famous person. And her argument, well, her deal was, she is a famous person. This is Mother Teresa. At the time, I think she might have been blessed Mother Teresa, and of course now she's Saint Teresa of Calcutta. But she always had that strong devotion to the church. And they asked if maybe there was another conversion or a peak moment in her life where she said, I'm being called. And I think throughout all of that, she was always, she always felt that calling. But it was probably, again, as youth ministers in our parish, we took high school kids to a diocesan youth conference that they call the Youth Spectacular. And so we had a group of students, and she took the girls to a vocations talk. And so I took the gentlemen, I took the guys to the guys talk with the priest. And so she was telling me afterwards, she was like, you'll never guess what happened. And I was like, well, what happened? What's going on? And she was like, I sat next to a sister. And I was like, oh, yeah, there were sisters there. It was a ladies' vocation talk, yeah. And she was like, no, like, I believe it was a Dominican sister. And, she sat next to her, and she started to tell her about how she felt she was called. She was like, I have this, this feeling on my heart that God is calling me to religious life, but I'm afraid of, how it will affect, my life here. She's, small family, and, being with her dad and being her dad's only child. She had all these things going through her mind as far as, what would happen if she left. So, she, after talking with the sister, she was, they went back and forth, and, that sister, told her that she had a lot of the same, reservations. And, they had a great conversation. And at the end, our sister Maria, looks at her and says, "I'm sorry, I didn't get your name." And the sister, extends her hand to shake her hand and says, "I'm Sister Maria Medina." And, I think that was just, mind blowing. Like that was her name. That's her name, Sister, or Maria Medina is her, her birth name. And so it was absolutely crazy that this sister from another area, not even from, our area, to be at that moment, at that time, with the same name as her, it was providential. It was, it had to be divine providence that sister was there at that moment, at that time, with the same name. And I think that's when she really decided, like, okay, it's time to pursue my calling. They pray about it, right? And they choose 3 names. They're supposed to choose 3 names. And she prayed and prayed and prayed, and that was the name that came to her, that came to her heart. And that was the only name she submitted to the SOLTs. And again, because I think you're supposed to submit 3 names, and then they pray about it and they decide, what name, is given to her. But she was so confident in that name. She was so, that I prayed about it, and this is the name that the Lord has chosen for me. And so that's how confident I am. She was like, and if I get in trouble, I get in trouble, and they'll tell me to, come up with 2 more names. But, when she submitted that name, I think it was even for them, it was so profound that they, after they prayed about it, that was the name that was given to her. But again, she was just so confident in that name, that was the name the Lord chose for her. And so, yeah, it is a beautiful name.
When I think about Sister Maria, the word that comes to my mind is she was just so lovely. She was lovely in her brilliant smile, and she was loving in her fun and compassionate personality. But most of all, she was loving in how she loved her spouse, Jesus Christ. She gave herself completely to Christ. She laid down her life for him, and she was all his, and he was all of hers. And she served generously. She served selflessly. She always went beyond and over what was called of her, to help people and to bring Jesus to all those who are in the mission that needed Jesus. And she brought many people back to God as well. When you talk to, people, especially the last few days, you can just see how much people were touched by her witness. But for me, I was privileged to be able to be with her the last week of her life here on earth. And it was just really an amazing experience. Because of the circumstances, we were not able to be with her. So she had to carry her cross, her Paschal mystery, alone, united with our Lord and just with him. And as much as that was painful for us and it was painful for her, she had our Blessed Mother with her very closely, and she knew that Jesus was there with her in all the heaven, and she carried her cross courageously, and we are just very proud of her. And I'm sure this process was purifying and sanctifying and preparing her to enter the eternal wedding feast in heaven. And really, in that sense, she was like a sprint runner. Like, she was able to go this distance and running to the embraces of God in that sense. And she went there very quickly. Some of the memories that I have of her, she would make homemade donuts for her friends. So she would just be singing and smiling and having fun, just making donuts and bringing around to her friends and people around her. She would play jokes on people and just to make people laugh. But also, she evangelized and she served and helped people, again, generously all the time. She was running, but always with a smile. And that's the part that was just so inspiring of her.
It was probably 2008. She ran into Sister Giovanni Paolo, and Sister Giovanni was very, very influential. Very, she played a big role in why she chose the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity. Sister Giovanni is just a genuine, beautiful soul. And I'm glad that I was able to meet her and spend time with her as well. I know when Sister Maria was discerning, entering the SOLTs, the SOLT community would have community brunch on Saturdays in Robstown. And, she would say, Omar, come with me because I don't want to go by myself. And, so I would go with her, and jokingly, I would say, hey, you're the one discerning. Why do I have to go? But it was just, we always had a good time. We always had a great time. We always joked and laughed. Her smile was just, you couldn't help but not smile back at her. She's just, our town is going to miss her. Our family is going to miss her. Just looking back at her life, looking back at, the struggles that she went through, to be where she was today, with the society and being in Belize, and, seeing the videos and, of her serving the people, seeing, the comments of people, seeing pictures of her with other people, you can't help but picture a documentary of the life of a saint, and part of me feels like this is what this is what this interview is about, this is what these videos are about, this is what these, just meeting with different people, talking about what a beautiful saint she is, and I've already talked to people, planning pilgrimages to her gravesite in Belize, so you how can she not, be a saint, so it's just this, she lived a beautiful life. She was very influential in a lot of people's lives. I had a conversation with somebody the other day who's also, discerning, religious life. And I told this young man, I said, Sister Maria had a difficult time, leaving this, leaving her family, leaving her friends, leaving her parish, leaving, the world to enter religious life. She knew that was going to come with I wouldn't say consequences, but there was, things would change, definitely. And, she was going to build a life somewhere else within the society. And leaving everything she knew, leaving it all behind. She knew that one day God was going to reward her for that. That God was going to give her the graces and blessings that she deserved, that she earned by serving him. And the beauty in all of this is that we've reached that point, that she is now receiving all the gifts of God, the glory of God, and being able to enjoy the rewards in heaven that she earned. That she knew that she would get someday by putting on that habit, by joining the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity. She's now reaping those rewards, and it's beautiful. It's sad for us because we have that void. We have that hole in our life that was filled with such beauty and such joy that it's no human person is ever going to replace her. And for us, it's a matter of filling that void with God, and prayer, and talking about her life, and celebrating her life and the joy that she would want for us to have. I just I have my moments where we're talking about her, and I'm telling jokes about how we would hang out, and she would just be so funny, and then I just break down, realizing that there won't be any more of those moments, and it's hard. But yeah, she was a great person, and I know she will continue to bless us and pray for us in heaven.
Sister Maria was my best friend. We just had a great friendship that because we were so close to the Lord, but also just close to each other, She just had a really special way of bringing out in me what was sometimes my own fears and inhibitions, and she was always encouraging me, and she was probably my greatest fan, and I just loved her for it, She was always encouraging me, and I think I helped her as kind of a little bit of a spiritual father, just journeying with her in her vocation. It was such an honor for me. She was that she was always this radiant burst of joy to everybody. That is definitely her. She was like this ray of sunshine, and she loved to do things to try to make others happy. She knew people well, that she knew what they would like, so she'd really go out and try to serve them. And, she always spoke from her heart and from her experience of loving the Lord. And that, I think, that communicated to people, that was so powerful to people because they could relate to that. This would be probably one of my favorite memories. And I think kind of characterize something about Sister Maria that I learned in this experience that I didn't know before. And that is over the Easter Triduum, each of us had a Fitbit, and we were kind of competing with each other for the most steps. And I was down in Mexico at the time, and I thought, I've got like 15 or almost 200,000 steps. I think I've got this. And all of a sudden I look up Holy Saturday and she's got like over 500,000. I'm like, sister, you're cheating. You know, she's sitting there. She must have been sitting there, but she had gone on this long pilgrimage. And so I never knew how competitive Sister Maria was until that moment. She was not going to let me be first, and she's not going to let me be first going into heaven either. She beat me to it, you know.
I think the trait that most distinguished Sister Maria was her joy. You know, I think that everywhere she went, she always had a great smile, and she brought joy to so many people, and she was a joy to work with, and a friend. You know, that's the other thing, that she was a friend to everyone. She was great with the children loved her. She taught the sacraments to many of the children in the community. And she also did faith formation for some of our teachers over the years. She's done multiple things. She was pretty much, you could task her with about anything and she could do it. So that's a great loss for us, of course, and for our community, for her family. For everyone who knew Sister, that's a great loss. She was so young, you know, only in her second year of perpetual promises. She'd been a sister for a number of years, but in temporary promises. In 2019, she made her perpetual promises. So that was only a couple of years ago. I believe she was 35 years old, and so still very young, still full of energy, and of course, we're all sad, but as I told the parishioners, we're sad for ourselves, for our loss. You know, everything about Sister pointed to this moment, you know, to her entering into eternity, her giving up a family, not having a spouse or children of her own, even though, yes, her spouse was Christ and her children were all the children that she served, but in a biological way, she had her you could say focus on Christ and on that final encounter with Him that would happen not completely in this life, but in the next. And so as she walked through this pilgrimage of life, she was someone who just exuded this joy wherever she went, and so yeah, we're so grateful to the sisters of the Society for having sent her to our mission. She was such a great gift, and again, yeah, we're very sad because of our loss, but we're happy for her because I know that her whole life was about Christ, and to finally encounter Him, you know, in the fullness. That's what her whole life was about, and that's why she did have this joy about her wherever she went. And it's not always easy. She had a lot of sacrifices, leaving the comfort of where she grew up, but you wouldn't know it by dealing with her. She was always joy filled, and she brought so much joy to the people that she served. So.
She was so devoted to the Eucharist. One of the blessings that we had in our parish, that we still have in our parish, is a perpetual adoration chapel, and she was there, you know, constantly. If she was not working or studying, you know, most likely she was there. She was in the perpetual adoration chapel, just adoring in Christ, just spending time with Christ. And I think that was really why she was able to trust God so well, so much, you know, because of the devotion that she had the Eucharist, you know, but to turn. I mean, I know it was difficult for her, you know, the expectations, you know, as you know, especially in our culture, you know, in our Hispanic culture, you know, we're expected to get married, have children, you know, raise families. You know, that's how it's always been, and that's how it's supposed to be, and it's, you know, so it's hard for a young lady to say, hey, I don't want that. I don't feel called to that. I feel that God is calling me somewhere else. Her focus was on God, was on the church and serving His church. And, you know, again, to weigh the choices, you know, it takes someone that's so devoted to God to realize that, you know, faith should outweigh anything and everything. People, you know, they would rather choose worldly possessions than heavenly rewards. And, you know, I truly believe that Sister Maria's life is going to change that for a lot of people, is going to help a lot of people realize what a beautiful life she lived, how awesome it was that, you know, she didn't own anything. She didn't, you know, to take those vows of poverty and chastity and obedience, and, you know, to take those vows as a sister, you know, leaves you with nothing but the love of God. And that outweighs everything and anything you could possibly ever want.
There's so many things that could be said, but I think if I had to narrow it down to the main gift that she was just a source of joy to everyone, and I think that's the most important thing. And that's the mark of an authentic Christian, is this joy. It's not a joy that we produce of our own accord. It's a joy that comes from a relationship, an authentic relationship with Christ. And so from that joy, you could tell that her love for Jesus was so real. And from that love of Jesus, then came that joy that she had. So,
as one of her sisters, I feel privileged to have had Sister Maria as one of us. She was this shining light, shining star among us. And now that she is gone from our midst, that light is not died out. That light is taken above and is shining more brilliantly now from above, and it'll spread wider, and more people will be able to benefit from this light. And I know that she's going to bear continuous fruit from where she is now, in the embrace of our God the Father. And she really lived her name, Sister Maria of Merciful Love, well. And we are going to miss her greatly, but it was just an amazing privilege to have her with us, and we commend her to God now.
It's sad, but I know that she is with the Lord, and they're having this great feast, and she is just loving life. And I think that's the great consolation for me, is knowing that she is just in heaven enjoying the presence of the Lord and cheering us on to come home. So Sister Maria, I'll see you soon. You know, just I can't wait to see you again, and I can't wait for you to welcome me home to heaven. So God bless you, and we're praying for you for your eternal respite. We'll see you soon.
He called your name, your life was changed. Lived your vocation with beauty and grace. Contagious smile, you touched our lives. That's why it's so hard to say goodbye. You went too soon for us, but not for him. He's waited for this moment since your life began. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've run the race, you've been rewarded. Enter the joy of your master. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've run the race, you've been rewarded. Enter the joy of your master. You held the cross and walked along the arduous and narrow road. Prepare the feast until we meet. Merciful love, you are finally free. You went too soon for us, but not for him. He's waited for this moment since your life began. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've run the race, you've been rewarded. Enter the joy of your master. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've run the race, you've been rewarded. Enter the joy of your master. Your bridegroom is calling, go out and meet him. Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Your bridegroom